today's session, we're going to be looking at governance and in specifically governance in Azure and how do we achieve that, right? So in Azure, there's various different services that we can use. There's different approaches we can use, but the key thing here is that we want to achieve governance, right? So really, how do we do that, right? So the first way we can do that is through policies, right? So we can create policies, and really essentially what policies is allowing us to do is to make sure people aren't shooting themselves in the foot, right? Aren't getting into trouble, right? So basically what we're doing here with through policies is we are enforcing standards and ensuring it's compliant. So for example, there may be certain policies in place to build or deploy something, right? If it isn't in that, if it's not following the policies, then it's just not going to create that resource, won't be created, right? So it's just all about ensuring that the resources are being created in the correct way, right? So then we have RBAC, rollback access control, right? And really what that is that's enforcing things like ensuring that people are only allowed the permissions and the roles that mapped to their job functions or what they're really doing in the Azure environment, right? So think of these in terms of access, like service principles, least privileges, etc., right? The next piece is locks, right? So locks, it's very important, right? So we can create locks at subscriptions, resource groups, at the resource levels. And really locks is a way to allow us to put immutable items within the actual Azure environment, right? To make sure they don't get deleted or accidentally deleted, or in any way they're not removed, right? So that's an important way for us to achieve governance, right? And then we have blueprints, right? So if you think about blueprints, right, if you were building a building, right, for example, you follow a blueprint to build the building, right? So blueprints kind of work in the same kind of function, right? So essentially they provide a set of guidelines on how you would build a resource. Now, an important thing to remember here is with policies, you're enforcing them, right? You're enforcing them to meet the standards, right? Whereas the blueprints is you're helping people to follow the standards in actually meeting them. So really policy and blueprints work in conjunction with each other. But blueprints is again another way of achieving governance in Azure, right? And then we have read only, right? So the ability to read data or look at specific elements, right, from a read only perspective, right? And that we can achieve governance through there. Tagging, I believe that's more of an indirect way of achieving governance, because when you tag resources and you really are using the tagging feature within the cloud platform, it allows you to do so much more additionally onwards, right? So you can actually do searches, you can look at things, you can do monitoring, and that kind of brings on to the final aspects. And in my opinion, the most important way of achieving governance is to the ability to actually use it through Azure Advisor. And what Azure Advisor is doing here is doing a 360-degree full turn with everything that I mentioned here on governance, right? It's allowing us to look at the cost, the security, the reliability, the operational excellence, the performance, and all those stuff, bringing it together is giving us visibility, ongoing visibility around the governance in Azure. Thank you.